The Canadian psychologist Jordan Peterson has released a new book, We Who Wrestle with God. In German, one might translate it as God, the struggle with one who stands above all. In this video series, I will take a closer look at this work. In this first part, I will introduce Peterson's book, his background, and how this book fits into his larger intellectual project. Before commencing, you should know, the original video is in German. It was summarized and corrected by AI, but the original content was made by humans, that is, by me. Why Jordan Peterson? Why am I focusing on Peterson, even though my main interests have been philosophy and great thinkers? Peterson is certainly not a traditional philosopher. While he is often portrayed as a great intellectual, it must be said that an average philosophy professor is usually more intellectually agile. He is also not a theologian, even though he frequently engages with religious topics. Nevertheless, he reaches an audience that would otherwise have little interest in classical theology or philosophy. Peterson is an influential figure of our time, particularly for a younger generation in North America, some of whom played a role in Donald Trump's election victory. It is therefore important to understand what messages Peterson conveys and why they resonate so strongly. I do not wish to uncritically glorify Peterson nor attack him polemically. My goal is a nuanced assessment of his ideas, even though I do not share his political stance and am not religious. Peterson certainly does not have bad intentions, and his theses deserve a fair but critical discussion. Peterson's biography. Jordan Peterson was born in Canada in 1962 and grew up in a rural environment. After studying political science and psychology, he earned a PhD and spent some time at Harvard University before returning to Canada. His first book, Maps of Meaning, largely went unnoticed. However, 12 Rules for Life, 2018, became a worldwide bestseller, followed by Beyond Order, 2021. His popularity grew through YouTube lectures and his critical stance on wokeness and political correctness. From 2016 onwards, he became increasingly involved in political debates, significantly expanding his reach. His latest work, We Who Wrestle with God, focuses on interpreting the Old Testament. Back to the roots. With this book, Peterson is in a way returning to his roots. Even in his early videos, he frequently discussed biblical topics. However, his approach remains primarily psychological. For him, faith is not a metaphysical truth, but rather a pragmatic model for navigating life. This perspective is reminiscent of Pascal's wager or Kant's moral argument for the existence of God. While these approaches are interesting, they also come with challenges. This psychological framing of faith can be seen as a reduction, which some religious people might find dismissive. Peterson's perspective makes it clear that he is, above all, a practitioner. His work is aimed at providing people with practical guidance rather than explaining the world in a scientific sense. Agenda of the video series. In the upcoming videos, I will explore the following points. Peterson's key terms and central arguments. How his work fits into a broader intellectual context. A critical assessment of what is convincing and what is not. And finally, the question, why does Peterson fascinate so many people? If you're interested in these topics, feel free to subscribe to the channel to get notified when new episodes are released. I look forward to an engaging discussion, and until then, wish you thoughtful reflections. Bye.